Hello, everyone. Welcome to Dungeons and Dragons, the other one.
Dragons and Dungeons.
Yeah, we're flipping the script. I am Cass. This is the Penitent. Say hi.
Hi.
Yeah, there you go. Everyone say hi, the Penitent. Okay, if you've watched the videos from the other game, awesome, great. If you haven't, go watch them, because they're awesome. This game is going to be different from that one. First of all, this game we are starting with Curse of Strahd, which is tried and true. I have both played in and run Curse of Strahd a lot, as has she.
Yeah.
Uh, it is not going to be 100% by the books standard Curse of Strahd because I think I would rather die than do that for the
No.
15,000th
Uh,
time.
In Search of the Unknown is also not by the book,
No.
so
We are going to run in all sorts of crazy directions with these modules, and that's okay, I think, because that's part of the fun. But that said, there is another notable change to the vibe of the other party, which is, reluctantly or otherwise, the other party is somewhere along the lines of generally well-intentioned. It's a more traditional, more hero-esque story, even if not 100%, and at least several of the people in that group want to adventure to be good people and do good things. Maybe not all of them, some of them at least. That is not true in this game. This game, the players in this game, the characters in this game are bad people. They have done bad things. They have, whether they are victims of circumstance is, that remains to be seen, that remains to be discussed. This is the kind of thing that you would see. Think of it like Suicide Squad.
we're not like murder hoboing
No.
our way through this.
No, this isn't murder hoboing, but this is people who have done unsavory things and are kind of getting stuck together. Maybe as some kind of cosmic punishment, maybe by chance, who knows, that remains to be seen.
Yeah. We're not like edgelord murderers.
No. You're not that kind of party.
We're edgelord murderers. We're murdering Strahd.
Yeah, you're gonna kill an edgelord.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But we're not
Good.
edgelords who are murderers. We murder edgelords.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't believe we have a party name. The Edge.
Yeah, alright, well, great start. We already have a party name for you. So that said, we are going to get into things. We are going to start with the Curse of Strahd module, allegedly, sort of, and we're going to go from there.
All right.
So, hello everyone. We have some stuff going on. 6 people. You 6 people. Not just 6 random guys.
6 cats.
6 frogs. 6 animated brooms.
6 trucks.
6 animated brooms find themselves in a forest.
Yet not only are we
Not only are you villains,
yeah,
you're also
brooms.
animated brooms.
5 animated brooms and a regular broom pretending.
5 animated brooms and a regular broom trying their best.
No, I can move. I'm just really tired.
I'm just sleepy. He's had a long day of sweeping.
No more sweeping, only sleeping.
I ask for sleeping, but all I get is sweeping. Yes, 6 people, your 6 player characters, find themselves in what looks like, at first glance, a pretty standard forest. It's a little dead, it's a little dismal. Notably that strikes you because it was not winter where you were. And this looks like dead of winter level trees. The leaves have fallen. Actually, in fact, most of the foliage around you is dead or dying, wilting or wilted.
Okay.
And there is this thick mist that kind of rolls in the trees around you. And one other notable thing about yourselves as you find yourselves on this path is you are all laid as if kind of in this perfect pattern, a couple of feet apart from each of you. You're all laid parallel to each other down this path. If you know the trolley problem, if any of you have ever seen the picture of the trolley problem, you look like that. You're not tied down, but you're lined up in a row like that.
There's no trolley coming then.
No,
Okay.
there's no train tracks or anything. Just you're lined up in this perfect parallel pattern, six of you in a row, the same approximate amount of space between all of you in a line.
All facing the same direction, like all head to toe?
All
Or.
facing up. You're on your backs.
Okay. But like,
But yes, all facing the same direction. All of your heads are in a line, all of your
okay,
feet are in a
cool.
line. Yes. All of you, whether you had this on the last time you were conscious or not, are in adventuring gear that you carry with you. And all of you have weapons not on your person, but laying by your sides, all laying to the left of you. Weapons or spellcasting focuses or whatever you may have. Holy symbols, anything like that. And all of you come to consciousness at about the same time, and if you turn to your sides, you see these other people who you have never seen laying in this perfect line next to you. None of you immediately recognize where you are.
Okay. So. I think everyone is a little taken aback immediately.
I think we should take this opportunity to introduce ourselves
Yes.
too. So, go in whatever order you please, it doesn't matter.
So I think the first thing that happens here is this maybe mid-30s man in not like bad quality, but well-worn armor, kind of immediately draws his sword and stands. Not sure this isn't a trap.
Yes.
Um, he looks human, kind of dark hair, green eyes, and just kind of, he's probably in the middle of these six people, kind of looking, eyes darting between all of them, his sword drawn. And he may speak, but we will describe everyone else. I think on to the right of him, there is a human passing, but probably closer to Asimar to anyone in the know. Girl, with two smaller twin blades to his
Longsword.
longsword.
Yeah.
And she's very pretty, white hair, blue eyes. She looks like a teenager, not yet quite adult. And she just kind of stares at him, kind of puts her hands on her blade, but doesn't spring to accuse anyone.
Mm-hmm.
I think further right at the end of the line one way, an older woman, probably nearing her 60s, lays in a dark green and black robe with a staff beside her and just kind of looks around. She looks less stunned or confused than anyone else. But self-preservation reasons, she does kind of stand and just not try to anger the person with the sword, but also not put herself as a potential victim.
Mm-hmm.
Be able to move if she has to.
Yes.
You can see kind of tucked in her robes is a spell book. She looks human, if I hadn't said that already.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, to the left of the man with the sword, there is a human-looking person with what seems to be naturally red hair and red eyes, is the one distinct feature. And she just, gives this look of, yeah, okay, same shit, different day.
All right.
Next to her is a very, very pretty young high elf girl, uh, who looks maybe a couple years older than the Asimar, but definitely on the cusp between like teenager and young adult.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and she looks around, confused for a moment, and then her look changes more to this like this look of fear,
Okay.
a fear and like a bit of helplessness almost.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then and then finally at the end of this line to her left, you have a girl who's slightly older, maybe a young adult,
Mm-hmm.
with human characteristics, but again, like the other girl, naturally purple hair and purple eyes.
Okay.
And seeing this person with a sword, she kind of gets up and grabs her own weapon,
Mm-hmm.
which is a rapier. And yeah, there is some awkward silence and positioning for a
Yes.
moment. Uh, the man of these, because there really there's only one male character here.
One man. Eek, a man.
Uh, kind of turns, not necessarily accusing any of these people, and shouts it loud enough the forest can hear, like, kind of clears his throat. Alright, whoever's responsible for this, show yourself or make yourself known. Kind of eyeing the other people here, but,
Mm-hmm.
you know, he doesn't just wake up in the woods for no reason.
Yeah.
Someone had to be
Most people
responsible for
don't.
this. Does any response come to that?
You hear, kind of faintly, as if much deeper in the forest, kind of through the mist. You don't see anything. The fog is kind of too thick for this. You hear what sounds like some kind of cry between a wolf and something between a howl and a roar. Uh, much deeper in the forest. It might not necessarily be in response to you, but that is the only sound you hear in response, unless any of the rest of you say anything. Some kind of garbled howling noise.
There is another beat, and the red haired girl kind of looks at him and is like, listen, sometimes these things happen. These things just happen. The universe is strange. Different goings on and whatnot.
I love that answer.
Where the fuck are you from?
Okay.
Waterdeep. The man just kind of sits down.
It's like I'm sick of it.
Alright then.
Alright.
So, the older woman says, all of you are unfamiliar with our way. To which there are nods of agreement. For whatever reason we're here, it doesn't seem helpful to stay here any longer. I don't like to assume whoever put us here has good intentions. With that being said, civilization might be our best bet. I assume none of you are familiar with the area. Again, there's no real response to that. Are any of you used to tracking or other navigation through forest. Because it's forest terrain, right?
Yes.
I may have done some, the man says. If you want me to take the lead, I can. That would be appreciated. Is everyone alright with coming with us? There's some vague nods. The high elf girl is kind of still shaken looking. Um, and she kind of blinks and says, I'm sorry, before we go, what are all your names? Alright, Pruitt, says the man. Oxford, the older woman. Ruby, the red haired girl. The girl with the purple hair kind of pauses for a moment. Um, Zuril. Right. The Asmore replies. I'm Terry.
Right.
I'm glad to meet you all. Are you? Yeah, that makes one of us.
Okay.
Are you not glad to meet me? I'd rather be home. I think we all would, but
All right.
let's get walking.
All right. You get walking. It takes maybe 15 minutes for you to kind of come over a little bit of a ridge in this forest. You kind of start moving up, I think, to kind of get a vantage point from things. See if you can see anything further down by moving further up. Uh, and as you kind of come over this crest from where you were, this little ridge, you see surprisingly not very far from you. You realize you're kind of in the higher foothills of what turns into a mountain, and on a plateau you can now see from where you are. There is across from you, maybe a mile's walk from here at most, castle. A very dark stone looming castle, almost black in color. This kind of very dark gray, almost black stone. These thick bricks set into towers and very sturdy walls. There is a sort of a drawbridge that covers almost a fissure, a gap between kind of the hills that you're in and the plateau that this castle is built on. Uh, there's this kind of ravine there. You can't see exactly what the drop is like from here, but you can see that the bridge is built over something that looks fairly deep. Uh, Beyond that, you can see now from where you are that there is another path kind of that intersects maybe a couple tenths of a mile from where you are, from the path that leads to the castle and from where you are now, a path that leads downhill through the forest in a different direction. And you can see kind of in the distance as that path curves, you can see what looks like a much lower plateau. And you can see kind of the very edge of what looks like a lake from here.
Okay, so Castle Lake.
Castle, lake, and then the path near the lake that seems to go further into the forest, or you can go back on the path you were walking on before.
Well, Terry says, do we try to seek help at the castle, or wouldn't advise it? Pruitt says. Nobles aren't best known for their willingness to help others. I guess I wouldn't know about that. I think the lake is where I hide
All right.
as a collective.
Okay. So you walk, you walk up to the intersection of this path and then back down toward the lake. From where you get to the intersection of this path, it takes you 20 to 30 minutes, to get into proper view of the lake, and you can see now a waterfall, kind of from a higher point in this mountain range that leads into this lake. It's large, it's pretty, and despite how dark it is outside, it seems like it's nighttime here. The skies are very, very dark as well, from both clouds and, you think, lack of sunlight at this hour.
Alright.
The waterfall almost has, through a little tiny gap in the clouds, there's a little bit of moonlight kind of descending down over the lake, kind of casting light and shadow and a little bit of light reflection onto the water. Uh, it's about the only light that you've seen thus far. There were no lights or torches outside of the castle. And as you look further across this lake bed, kind of on the other side of it from you, where you are in this path, you see a smattering of tents that do have lights outside of them. Uh, kind of torches and a couple of smaller campfires scattered around this little campsite, it would seem, and then one larger tent in the center that you could reasonably assume to be where someone slightly more important would spend their time. You can't make any other details out, just that it's a lot of tents. It looks like basically a nomadic campsite of some sort,
Okay.
from the style of how everything is constructed.
Hmm.
There are signs of life, which is more than you've seen yet. And you can see, as you get onto this path, the path down into the forest does continue. You're not sure exactly how far.
What signs of life?
Signs of life, yes.
Is there anyone outside or up?
So you can see a couple of people standing kind of just as kind of toward the mouth of this path where the path meets the lake bed, who are holding what you would assume to be some kind of spear or sword. They look to be guarding. They don't look to be particularly threatening. You would figure more of a sentry than a threatening presence.
Okay. So I think, given that there are people at all,
Okay.
uh, I think Oxford will approach them.
Okay. You will walk down the path to them.
Yes.
They kind of raise their weapons, don't point them at you, but raise them to indicate that they are ready to point them at you as you approach.
She kind of raises her hands. Listen, I mean no harm to whatever it is you're doing here. I was just seeking aid.
Late in the night for aid. One of them kind of looks in response to you, tilts their head a little.
Perhaps so, but it is. Well, I've seemed to have just woken up.
Just woken up. You're not from here, are you?
No, we're not. We are not.
It's easy to tell, usually. You want help?
Yes.
Come with me. And this, you would assume, man, from the vague appearance that you can see from the shadows of this person and the depth of their voice, will lead you, the other guard will stay, and he will lead you into the campsite proper, kind of through the first outer ring of tents, and over to the big tent, which you realize now from the angle you were at, you couldn't see it before, has a smaller side tent next to it, that seems like maybe where an assistant would sleep or where extra supplies would be stored.
Okay.
It's clearly connected to the main one. And as you walk into this camp, you can see now these tents are, for all that they're well made and clearly purposeful, clearly designed for travel, they're also very well designed. They're interesting to look at. They're a little ornate. Some of the larger ones have little tassels hanging down from them. They are woven kind of canvas and painted with some kind of dye that retains in fabric, you would assume through water, even through rain, because these tents look weather worn a little, but colorful and bright, in a way that you could not see very well without the light of the torches being closer to you. And this big tent is by far the most ornate of them. It has these tassels. It actually has these little, almost like sequins and beads embroidered around the flaps of the tent, and the kind of where the poles would hold it up. All of the seams of it have embroidery and beads and sequins stitched very carefully, hand stitched, into the fabric.
Okay.
There are these kind of striped, swirly, very geometric-esque pattern markings painted onto this tent. The dominant colors are, you'd say, purple, blue, and gold, looking
Okay.
at this. And most of the tents seem to have a color theme similar, although the outer tents, you would note, had a little more warm colors to them, while the inner tents had cooler colors. Uh, Sort of a gradient as you move inwards. And the guard who is with you kind of moves to lift the flap of the tent, and before he touches it, you hear a voice say, "Come in." And he just kind of sighs and motions for you all to enter the tent.
We will enter.
When you walk into this tent, you see a similarly ornate layout. There is canvas over the floor. There is what looks like a kind of a something between a bedroll and like a proper like mattress kind of thing that you would set on the floor. Something between a bedroll and a futon, maybe. Uh, Kind of in the corner of this tent, there are several not notably heavy or large looking, but still several chests. There is actually a small desk, sort of desk table, in the back half of this tent, and there is a woman who looks. If Oxford is in her late 50s, this woman looks like she could be in her mid late 60s. Distinctively older than Oxford, but not like 80s old.
Mhm.
You would put her maybe a decade older than Oxford, looking at her. She has these very delicate looking gold hoop earrings. She has several bracelets of varying materials on her arms, and she has a necklace around her neck that has a charm with a symbol of what looks like a raven on it. And there is a little purple, maybe amethyst or some kind of similar crystal set into that raven's eye on the charm. Uh, and she turns all the way around to look at you. She pulls the hood of her cloak down so that you can see her face better. She has kind of medium dark skin, thick dark hair, and she is wearing a blindfold. And she takes the blindfold off to look at you. And you see these very vivid, bright purple eyes kind of illuminated by the lantern light in this tent. So, you've come for help.
Yes. Help would be greatly appreciated, Oxford says. Oh, shit, Pruitt says.
Do you need something?
Just, you folks are Estonia, aren't you?
Correct.
Yeah, that would make sense. I've met some of you folk before.
Hmm. Well, I hope that was a pleasant experience. We're usually very hospitable.
Wasn't unpleasant.
Good.
I wander a bit.
As do we. You're lucky you caught us here at a good time. We were actually planning to leave in the next couple of days.
About that, Oxford again. Where is here?
That is the question, isn't it? Here. Here is probably, if I had to guess by looking at you, a different plane than where you're all used to being. They call this place a demi-plane. I don't know how many of you are familiar with myth and folklore around my people. Many lay claim to the fact that we are planar travelers. Those people are correct. This is a demi-plane. Some people call it Barovia, some people call it Ravenloft.
A plane that is an offshoot of another plane?
Yes. Not the material plane, notably. Not anymore. It was once. It was drawn into the Shadowfell and then splintered off again. It lies somewhere between the Shadowfell and the material plane. Notably, planar travel out of this place is impossible unless you are Vistani.
How exactly does that work? Uh, this time said by, Zero.
It's. Think of it, I suppose, like a gated community. You have to have express permission of the owner to stay here. And think of it a little less like a gated community in, well, I guess you could say it like that. You also have to have the right access to leave.
I guess in a manner of speaking, prison is a gated community.
Eh, you could call it a prison. Some of us like it here. You need the right conditions to enter. You need the right conditions to survive. And leaving is a little bit less like that. Leaving is prohibited.
This seems more like very wrong conditions to end up here.
Perhaps. I think that depends on who you are and how you see it.
So, Oxford again. Is there any reason we ended up here, or is it random? Bad luck.
I am not a believer in coincidences. I never have been. In fact, most of my people will tell you the same. I believe everyone who comes here comes for a reason, though those reasons are not the same for everyone who comes. And I believe that overall, this land draws people here as part of a grander plan. The people who live here are restless and miserable. They don't like it here, and they would like to leave. They would like to at least be free to leave. And this plane, this realm, doesn't really want to be here either, but magic keeps it that way.
Alright.
Most people, I think, come here because the plane is trying to draw people in to solve its problems, to free it from the grasp of this power, this magic.
And how would that be done?
Well, to do that, you would have to solve the problem of the person who cast the magic. You saw the castle on your way here.
Yes.
That is Castle Ravenloft. That is where the lord of this realm resides.
And I take it that dropping in and killing him isn't that simple.
Unfortunately not. You are not the first to come here. You may not be the last to come here. But everyone before you who has come with intent to kill him has met death or worse as a fate.
Or worse? Terry.
There are many, many fates worse than death, and this realm is full of them. You will learn that soon. Perhaps the worst fate of all in this realm is to live. That is how some people will put it.
A bit bleak.
I am nothing if not honest. It is not like me to lie.
More than fair.
So, you want to leave, as most do, and you know there is only one way to leave.
It sounds simple.
Nothing is ever as easy as it seems, though, is it?
No.
I would love to tell you that it will be easy, or that there is much I can do to offer you help. I cannot. In fact, I cannot let you stay the night. As much as I would like to be more hospitable than I can.
I see. Why? Let me ask.
Danger is afoot, on its own enough tonight. And we normally don't have guards stationed, but tonight we needed forewarning. I could sense it. And perhaps that was just you, and I needed to know you were coming. But perhaps it was much more than that. In which case you will not be safe here. And you should move on.
Do you have a direction?
I don't particularly imagine you would like to go to the castle, given what I've told you.
I think we would rather steer clear of it, yes.
In that case, continue down the path you came down. There is a village, a couple of miles walk from here. It is called Barovia. It is small, it is secluded, and the people there are restless and, to some degree, unfriendly. But it is your best bet. And if you want to solve the problem of our Lord, they will be the ones most likely to tell you how.
And it's safe?
Nowhere here is not for long. He will find out about you, and when he does, he will hunt you. Once he finds out, there is no safe place.
I guess anyone who comes here gets that fate then, yeah?
Correct.
Don't suppose you have a few minutes before we leave.
I can spare a moment.
Just... I'd kill to have my fortune read. Well, kill is a... I'd like to have it read.
I think I could do that for you.
I'm also kind of curious, Tavery said. What do you... You can tell our...
I can see your future.
I'd be curious.
Okay.
You know what, that might not be a bad idea for all of us, Oxford says.
Sure. We may as well.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
You're fine. Alright. I do not have a deck with me, so I'm going to have to roll number generators, but that is fine because I do that all the time and this works. For the record, I will put the drawn cards on the screen as I roll this. I roll I believe it's a 156-sided die, which I can generate. I don't need a dice that size. For every tarot card and every reversal of a tarot card, and I will read my interpretation of the descriptions out, and I will put the card on the screen.
And sometimes they just, man,
They hit vibes more than most people would ever imagine. I will be interpreting to my vision, of course. But I will not differentiate too far from what the cards mean, and that is 54. It's 44. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Who's going first?
I believe because he spoke first, Pruitt.
Alright. She holds her hands, kind of waves them over this tarot deck, spreads the cards out in kind of a fan shape in front of her, and lingers for a moment on one side of the deck, her hand kind of hovering over it. And then in one kind of swift motion, moves to the other side of the deck, holds a card out, and flips it over to set it in front of you. The card that you see in front of you is the Five of Cups. It is upside down, indicating a reversal. If Pruitt would know anything about tarot cards, which I imagine he would, considering he's met Vistani
Yeah, he's
before.
bumped into a few, and he's had his fortune read before.
So he would know that that is a reversal. And she looks at it for a moment. This card indicates that you have come through something, that you are moving towards something, and that you are stuck in your next step of progress. I think, looking at this, that you want to grow and improve your life, improve your state, but you are holding on to a mentality that is outdated. You need, more than anything, to have faith that what you need will come to you, and you need not push it away. Rejection of the people and things that will meet your needs will only keep you stuck longer.
I understand.
Well, I suppose that's food for thought. Next.
Me, Terry says.
Right. That is going to be 10, 12, 14. Interesting. This is a major arcana. Death reversed. Right. She flips this card over to you. Foreboding.
A little bit.
Mostly to an outsider. This card, it is an oversight, I think, to tell you that this indicates real death. Literal death. It is something that novices like to predict because it is obvious, but there is more nuance to everything than just what the card says. This card more than anything indicates change, a change in state, and death is a very obvious change in state from living to no longer with us. It is a representation, and change in this sense is one part of the equation. This is change, destruction, loss of something, loss of something you care about, followed by renewal, followed by the development, the reformation of something that you wanted in the past.
I see.
When one door closes, as they say, another door opens. And the question now, with this card, is whether or not you can tolerate that change.
Thank you very much.
Of course. Anyone else?
Yes, Oxford.
Alright. All reversals so far, which is always fun. I draw a lot of reversals. I've never been able to figure out why. It just happens. This is the Seven of Cups reversed. This is a card about choices. When this card appears in reverse, it means that you are moving from a place of inaction to a place of action. Moving from a place where choices are made for you to a place where you make your own choices. You are moving towards something concrete, something that speaks to you in a way that you have not been spoken to in a while. You know, I believe, somewhere, your subconscious perhaps, that these changes need to be made and you're not quite sure how to make them. The best advice I can give you is to just start. Everything starts somewhere, and the most important, often the most difficult step, is the first one. The first choice you make is the start of a long, long path of more of them. You need only choose, for better or worse.
I see.
She kind of smiles at you. Every time she's done this, she smiles very knowingly at all of you.
I'm curious, Ruby says.
She hovers her hand over this again, kind of pulls the cards back together, shuffles the deck, draws a card actually off the top of it this time, and flips it over in front of you. The reversed King of Wands. This signifies it is a face card. Often these represent people. Not always, but often. This card indicates usually a man with power, who
She laughs at that.
who has changed significantly throughout his lifetime. This card indicates that people around you find you to be perhaps not find you to be, but find themselves to be more tolerant than they have been in the past. This card, when it indicates a person, indicates that that person has matured to a point where they understand that not everyone can keep up with what they expect. Not everyone can match pace. Not everyone can fit expectations. It indicates often that that person wants to help you, but it also indicates that they are willing to come to the conclusion that your energy and theirs do not match. This card is overall positive, and it indicates energy and the presence of other people around you who will come to respect you more than you have been respected. You would do well to keep that person in mind if you can think of one who it might mean.
Yes.
Better or worse.
Yes, I believe I can think of one, yes. Sorry, that last sentence seems like Pruitt's and Ruby's accents fused. That's fine. You know what? Yeah, I'd like to hear. Zerel says.
The Hierophant. I have no idea how you say that card.
I believe Hierophant?
Okay. The Hierophant. This card is a card of struggle and conflict and uncertainty about what path is right for you. This card is about doing the right thing. This card, however, does not mean that the right thing is that it is what the rules would dictate. The rules and the system of your life play a major role in determining whether you are doing the right thing, but they are not the only determining factor. The right thing is not just what the rules or your history or what people expect of you dictate. The right thing is also what is right for you and every part of you. And finding that balance is difficult, but necessary.
I see. So, lastly, Pride kind of steps forward. So what is this?
Well, if you want me to put it simply, it is me drawing something that will tell you something about yourself. Perhaps your future, usually your future, but more than anything, something you need to know.
How does it know?
Magic, of a sort. We call it divination. It's not that dissimilar from a wizard casting a spell. But it is innate to our people. All of us have a tendency toward this ability, some of us stronger than most. I am presented as my group's seer, the High Seer, which, as I'm sure you can imagine, means that I have the most skill with this ability. People usually come to me when they need something known.
Okay. Then, yes.
Right. The reverse Three of Pentacles. this card tells you positively that the things you want to accomplish, your work, your goals, you want to accomplish these things and they are going to be accomplished. It carries a warning, however. You cannot allow yourself to backslide in your goals. Work is important, but it may be that you are settling for a simple solution when there is more nuance to what you're doing than you are fully aware of. Sometimes your work is right for you, and sometimes your work is not wrong, but down the wrong path. You need to, as I think you might expect, give your all to the right path. Settling for what is easy, whether that's the right path or the wrong one, will not give you the success you desire. You will have to put in more effort than you are used to.
I give effort.
I never said you did not. But perhaps it is time for more.
She nods, thinking about it. And yeah,
Is it all of you?
yes it is.
Alright. Well, that was fun.
With that, we will thank her. They will all kind of nod respectfully, bow, and they will try to make their way towards
The town of
Brovia.
Alright.
Thank you for watching this video from College of Lore. Remember to like this video, subscribe to join the party, and have a fantastic adventure.